Welcome back, listeners, to Sandman Stories Presents, a folklore podcast where I read you to sleep or until the next story. I'm your host, Dustin. If you want more Sandman, I have extra stories that are too spicy for the main feed available on my Patreon, and you can join at the free tier and get everything. Today we are back in the book of Sioux folk tales written down by Charles Eastman. These two stories deal with a familiar character, the trickster spider. His Sioux name is Unktomi, Iktomi, Ikto, and Ichindike. He is a shapeshifter that is very wise. And my apologies for singing in this episode. Okay, let's begin. The 9th evening. Now, my grandchildren, says Smoky Day, I will tell you of one who is well known in the wonder world of our people. He is a great traveler, and seems to know everybody, and is always good-natured. But he is also a shameless boaster, and plays many tricks upon those he meets on the road. No one is so wise and cunning as Unktomi, the spider, and yet he likes to appear as simple and as innocent as a child. His adventures are many. Sometimes he gets the better of the animal people, and again they may succeed in outwitting him, so that he is well laughed at for his trouble. We may learn all of these stories of Unktomi and his sly tricks, how to be on our guard against those deceitful ones who come to us in the guise of friends. Unktomi and his bundle of songs. It was a bright sunshiny day, and the flocks of ducks flying northward had all stopped to rest beside a little lake and were splashing and paddling about in the cool water. They were happy and very noisy, but suddenly they ceased their cries and calls and became quite silent, for a queer figure was seen coming toward them along the curve of the beach. It was the figure of a strange little old man, bent nearly double under a huge load of something that looked like dried grass. "Quack, quack," said one of the boldest of the ducks, as the old man drew near with his burden. "What do you have there?" "Oh, that is only a bundle of old songs," replied Unktomi with a smile, for it was that sly one, that maker of mischief. Thereupon the ducks took courage, and quacked and fluttered all about him, crying, "Sing us an old song, Unktomi." Willingly Unktomi threw down his load upon the lake shore, and with the utmost good nature began to build a little tepee of sticks, thatching it with dry grass. In a few minutes it was done, and he kindly invited the ducks to enter. With rustling wings and shining feathers, they crowded into the little tepee until it could hold no more. Unktomi was there too. He stayed by the door and began to sing, "Ishtogomus wachipo, tua etawan kin, ishtani shakta," which means, "Dance with your eyes shut. Whoever looks shall have red eyes." Every one of the foolish ducks shut his eyes tight, and Unktomi, as he sang, quietly seized one after another by the neck as they danced in a ring around the tepee, wrung their necks quickly, and cast them behind. Not one had a chance to squawk, so cleverly did he work, and soon there would have been none to listen to the old songs. But after a little while, a small duck slyly opened his eyes, and saw Unktomi wringing the necks of his friends. "Fly, fly!" he exclaimed in terror. "He is killing us all!" So all the ducks that were left alive rose up, and with a mighty rush of wings and a loud clamor of voices, they fled. The grass tepee fell away to pieces, and the lucky ones flew away, but lying on the ground beside Unktomi were enough fat ducks for a fine feast. And the little duck that peeped forever had red eyes. The children liked this story very much, but it was shorter than usual. "Tell us about the feast," they cried. "Tell us about the feast of Unktomi." So old Smoky Day began again. Now Unktomi wished to make a feast. First thing he did was to stand and cry aloud, "Chaga ao pao! Someone bring me a kettle." He called for a long time. At last somebody appeared with the kettle. It was the fox, who was carrying it in his mouth. Unctumi thanked him carelessly, and after waiting a while the fox sadly went away again. Then Unctumi dressed the ducks whose necks he had wrung, built a fire, fetched water, and put them on to boil. But he was tired as well as hungry, and while his dinner was cooking, he thought he might as well take a nap. So he lay down in the warm sand nearby, first telling his face to be on watch, and to twitch if anyone came, so as to awaken him. While Unctumi slept, the fox returned with a friend. Unctumi's face did not twitch as it had been told to, for the foxes stroked it very gently and told it to be quiet. Having done this, they quietly ate every bit of the rich meat, and put the bones back into the pot. When at last Unctumi yawned and awoke, he was very hungry indeed. He looked to see whether his dinner was ready, and found nothing in the kettle except bones. "Ah, the ducks have boiled too long," he said to himself. "The meat will all be in the bottom of the pot." When he discovered that the bones had been picked clean, he was very angry and scolded his face severely for not waking him up in time. He who deceives others may himself be caught some day. The end. Okay, and the 10th evening. "Tell us another story of Unctumi, grandfather," cried several of the children, as soon as they were inside the old storyteller's wigwam on the 10th evening. "Ah, I thought you would ask for another," remarks the old man with quiet satisfaction. "There are many stories of his dealings with the animal people. He loves to go among them, and even take their shape, so that he may make fools of them more easily. This may do very well for a time, but it is generally not long before he is ready to cry enough." The story of Unctumi and the elk. It was midsummer, and the elk people were feasting in great numbers upon the slopes of the mountain. Sleek, fat, and handsome, they browsed hither and thither off the juicy saplings and rich grass, and drank their fill from the clear mountain streams, and lay down to rest at their ease in the green shade through the heat of the day. Unctumi, who had been traveling far and was hungry and footsore, looked upon them with envy. "Ah," he said to himself, "that is the life for me. Surely these are the happiest people on earth, for they have all the things in abundance, and are so fleet of foot that they need fear no danger." Accordingly, he hid his bow and quiver full of arrows in a hollow tree, with all of his clothing and other weapons, so that he might appear quite naked and harmless before the timid elk people. They saw that he was unarmed, and they stood still as he approached. "Here comes Unctumi," they said doubtfully to one another. "Ah, brothers," he pleaded with them, "you have enough. You are at peace with the tribes. You overlook the valley, and all its dwellers are below you. None are so happy as you. Will you not make me one of you?" "Friend," exclaimed their leader, "you do not know what you ask. To be sure, it is now midsummer. Our clothing and weapons are new, there is food in plenty, and we may seem to be happy. However, our antlers, our only weapons, are yet soft, and the wolf and the wildcat are ready and fearless to attack us. Our only hope of escape is in our fleetness, since we are watched all day by the cruel eyes of those who live upon flesh, of whom the most dangerous of all is man." "I know all of this," replied Unctumi. "Others may have stronger weapons than you, but I see none with your beauty, your stately height, your freedom and ease of life. I beg of you to allow me to share it." "If you can pass the test, we will admit you," they said at last. "Notice our eyes. We must ever be watchful. Our ears, they are constantly on guard. Can you smell an enemy even against the wind? Can you detect his footsteps before he is near?" Unctumi passed the test and was finally admitted to the company of the elks. In fact, he was made chief of them all, for such he wanted to be. "Now," they said, "we have made you our leader. You must guide us so that we shall be safe from the hunters." Proud of his long limbs and his stately antlers, he led them all down the hill, running back now and then to urge the stragglers into line. When they stopped to rest, he lay down a little apart from the others, under a spreading oak. Suddenly, they all sprang up and fled, for Unctami had cried out to them, "Fly, fly, I am struck by an arrow!" But when no hunter appeared, they were provoked, and grumbled among themselves. "Unctami is deceiving us. It was only a stick that fell from the tree." Then they all lay down a second time, and a second time the elks were aroused in vain. They were still more displeased, and said to one another, "It was only an acorn that fell on him while he slept." The third time they lay down, but this time the elk stole away from Unctami and left him sleeping, for they had scented the hunter. When the hunter came, therefore, he found only the chief elk still sleeping, and he let an arrow fly and wounded him severely. Unctami was now in great fear and pain, and he bitterly regretted that he had become an elk, for he had learned that their life is full of anxiety. The elks had taught him that it is good to be content with their own, for there is no life that is free from hardship and danger. The end. Wow, I really enjoyed these stories. Hearing about the trickster getting tricked is always fun, and I quite enjoy the moral of the second story, as that there is no such thing as an easy life. There's a little bit of the boy who cried wolf in there too. And the first one reminded me of a story called Mabella the Clever, all about a mouse that's smarter than the other mice and catches the cat catching them. I hope you're enjoying these stories as much as I am. There's plenty more to come. And the podcast shoutout is to the Tabi-Tabi Pod. Hosted by Ethan, this podcast covers Filipino folklore. You will learn about all sorts of mythical beasts such as the tikbalang and the manangal. It's super cool and hosted from somebody from the Philippines. And if you like her show as much as I do, go and give her a like, a review, and maybe buy her a cup of coffee to keep her show going strong. And the listener shoutout is to Phoenix, Arizona. From Google, Phoenix is the capital of the southwestern United States of Arizona. Known for its year-round sun and warm temperatures, it anchors a sprawling multi-city metropolitan area known as the Valley of the Sun. Thank you, Google. And it is the ancestral lands and current home of the Akchin community. Here is information on them in their own words. The Akchin Indian community is nestled into the Santa Cruz Valley of southern Arizona. The community lies 35 miles south of Phoenix in the northwestern part of Pinal County. Akchin is the Udam word translated to mean the mouth of the wash, or place where the wash loses itself in the sand of the ground. The Akchin Indian community has an enrollment of more than 1,100 tribal members and a land base of just over 2,200 acres. And so I say to my listeners in Phoenix, thank you and good night.